In this video, traders will look at what to do when a trade just doesn't go your way, doesn't stop you out either, but just sits there. How should you deal with it? Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to you. Right, so I'm going to hit the screens in a moment and kind of show you an example of a trade that I took pretty recently actually and just come out of just because it didn't do what I expected it to do. Now, did it stop me out? No. Did it hit any targets? No. Was it a problem it stagnated? Not to a certain point, but after that, I kind of want to run through the thought process behind the trade. Now, this happens to be a stock trade, but it's the same for any market. At the end of the day, it's whether the thesis is still valid, and you kind of analyze that at set points. So for me, this was a swing trade in a stock called Slack. And we'll look at the chart setup in a moment, but very briefly, there's a gap down of earnings that kind of had a bit of a rally after earnings. And I thought, okay, this is quite a nice setup. I like these from time to time where you take the long, you have a stop below the kind of low of the earnings and expect a kind of gap fill up. It was quite a big gap that it had gapped lower. And that's the kind of the thesis of the trade. Now, of course, the idea of that trade is this momentum, the strength, and you can't expect to go from A to B just straight away and get 2 days run and you're there. You've got to expect some resistance along the way, some kind of struggle, but at some point you've got to look at it and go, you know what, it's not working out. So for me, I'm looking at it every day, maybe twice a day maximum, but it's a swing trade, so I'm not looking at intraday. Intraday, you're just using the same kind of premise, but you're just going down the time frames. You're just checking things, you know, every hour or every 15 minutes or every 5 if you're going really close. So what happened is I took this trade, and it stagnated, it gave me a little bit of profit, it came back, and it was just sitting in this no man's land. And let's hit the screens anyway, I'll kind of show you the idea, the setup, and what happened with it. So, you know, maybe you can take a few things from it. Let's go. All right, guys, so here we are. This is Slack, and let me bring this into the screen for you. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, I'm on TradingView, by the way. Let me just actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch the screens. That'll be easier. We'll put that one up there and we'll bring this one down here. So Slack, code for this is work. Now, this was the premise. We gapped down on earnings, and I thought we might just get a push back up to 28. That was what I was looking for, first targets. And if it was really good and strong, you know, maybe back up to some sort of 30s, 32s. That was my premise behind the deal. Didn't work out. This was fine. I got a good entry in and we got a kind of good leg up, and day 3 was okay. And I'm kind of expecting day 3 to be, you know, a little bit of a retracement. That's fine. And even day 4. But when we're talking about day 5 after the earnings and we're sitting here, even though there's support there, I just don't like it. You know, I just don't like it. And today, when we just kind of tickled under, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of the trade. Even though Nasdaq's weak and Slack's not doing too bad, I just don't like the trade, and it ended up being, I think it was like a very, very slight loss. I didn't have a stops per se, a break even, but it was close enough. It was almost a break even trade. But what I preferred it to do is this. You know, I don't know. Of course, I preferred it to do that. But I preferred it to go from A to B like that. But you know, I don't mind this drive, stagnation, and go. But when we're talking, you know, if you think about what's actually happening here, the buyers are having a lot of opportunity to get this stock, this company, this currency pair, if it was, at a discount to what it was for basically the past 3 months. And if it was bullish price action, you'd expect it to drive up pretty quickly. That's fine. Day 3 pause. Now I'd expect it to really kick into gear. These weren't really big anyway. You know, you want this kind of thing off that. If that's an overshoot to the downside, you want something like this, really. This kind of candle, this kind of 2 candles, and then a pause. This is okay, but it probably was a bit of a warning sign. And this is not that great. It's an outside day here, which is also a bit of a red flag. But I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, thinking, okay, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer for buyers to kick into gear. And also, guys, red flag on this isn't a very strong stock. You know, this isn't a very strong stock. I wasn't in a very big position in this at all. And for these reasons, it's not like we were at highs and we gapped down and people have thought, yeah, great, let's get back in and bid this thing up. We're already stuck in a range. People are already not considering it that much of a great stock, considering the Nasdaq's been pushing hard. So there's a lot of red flags to it. Anyway, the point is, guys, if you're trying to trade a momentum, the thesis of the trade is, hey, momentum, accept a little bit of a pause. You're never going to get it from A to B. But if it's a momentum move, it's going to move pretty quickly afterwards. So when it doesn't, just cut it. Now listen, if it goes again, it goes again. It might set up again for me. Fine, I might take it. Although saying that, I don't think there's a setup now for me in this stock until we kind of break all-time highs. So it's probably going to go off my watch list until the next earnings cycle. However, the point is, don't hang around in it. Cut it, move on. Plenty more opportunities out there. You don't need to be sitting and hoping this thing's going to come up and fill your target, and nor do I need to be waiting for it to take out my stop either, which was below this low. I kind of had a revisit, thought I'd revisit on this day, just about survived that support on that day, so I thought I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. But this day it broke that support. Take the trade, move on, no harm done, no profit, no loss. Let's say it was very, very close, although I can't remember, it was a slight profit or loss. Regardless, it's almost a scratch trade, but we'll just look for the next trade. So the idea is it doesn't do what you expect it to do. Give it a little bit of room. It won't always work as you want it straight away, but it's well worth kind of just cutting things and moving on. All right, guys, that was kind of thinking the process or thought process behind the trade I took recently. I like to do that. I like to give things a little bit of room if they're still not getting stopped out. If they're getting stopped out, obviously no room given. But if they're kind of in that no man's land like that one was, I give it the benefit of the doubt. I know that markets like to unwind, stretch, drive. I get that. So I'm prepared to allow it a little bit of wiggle room. But when it just sits and stagnates for a while, it's just not the thesis, that premise that I wanted to take in the initial part of the trade. The premise was a drive. I didn't get a drive. Didn't even get a pause and drive. Take it out, move on to the next one. Anyway, guys, take care, keep this managed. Bye-bye.